These are all brand new and exclusive to this release, of course. We start with Rubber's Vision, and I don't know what happened there. Hello. Oh wow! Look at how that shines on my glasses. I apologize. My good glasses broke. They snapped in half, so I have to wear my old ones now. So now you can look at that. I look like a fucking vampire. Anyway, what a way to start the video. In this video, we're taking a look at Rubber's Lover. This is the first release from New Wave Video. I also have Strange Circus here, which I am yet to watch and dive into. Because I've just done everything for this one, so we're doing this one first. Yay! So we'll dive into packaging first. I'll give you an idea of what both of them look like, just in case I don't get around to doing this weekend. And then we'll talk about the video and audio. We'll talk about the special features as well. So they both very nicely come with glossy slip covers. Isn't that nice? Nice and pretty. They both have reversible artwork as well. Just a second. So we've got glossy artwork on the front. We've got spine titles, which is the same on the other side as well. The number 1 and the number 2 at the base. Does it sit that way? Yes, it does. Just gonna... There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. 10 out of 10. That's upside down. But yeah, you get what I mean. And then the back of each is just an image from each film. Very nice. Very nice. And then you have your basic cover artwork. I say basic, but they're still like the original, to some degree, posters with the New Wave logo in the bottom corner, which is cool. Color-coded as well, actually. This one's red and orange, and this one is white and black, which I think is really cool. Nice detail to make it not like stand out too much in contrast to the main artwork. And then, of course, both of them feature their technical specs and whatnot. I'm yet to check if they're region-free. I believe they're meant to be. It doesn't stipulate. There's also no barcodes on this, but if you are like myself who use the My Movies Blu-ray.com app, you can just go into the search function, type down in the Australia tab, and just look these up, and they come immediately. So they exist. They're the real deal, the real McCoy. I won't dive into too much else of what Strange Circus has to offer because we're here for this one, and they're basically identical in regards of you get disc artwork. It has NW0001, so it's New Wave Video number 1. You get a little booklet, and you do get the reversible artwork. Which how much of that can I show? A little bit. I'm not going to show too much of it. It's all in black and white, which is very nice. It's very gory, and well, it's got nipples on it. They both do. Somehow they both managed to have nipples on it. So huge shout out to New Wave Video for managing to put nudity on their artwork. I mean, sure, whatever, you do what you got to do. To be fair, not a bad representation of the film. It kind of gave me an idea of what I was getting into. And to be fair as well, if you've seen Tetsuo the Iron Man, this film is very Tetsuo the Iron Man, to the point that the director said he worked on Tetsuo the Iron Man and then made this film. Isn't that crazy? You get a booklet, which is called Secret Files. So this is basically a collection of essays, has a great table of contents as well. So the Secret File number 1 is all in Japanese, which is probably like a pamphlet from when it originally came out. They did a lot of those. In Japan, you get Shozin Fukui is the Ideal Brain Destroyer, Rubber's Lover 1996 by Michelle Kisner. Secret File number 2 to 3 on page 10. Then Rubber's Lover in Context of Japanese Cyberpunk by Stanley Luck, as well as a transfer info and Secret File 4 and 5. So it gives you some images from other posters that the director has done. His references to, like, you know, possession and whatnot. The secret files. The follow-up essay. The most noteworthy part of the booklet I will mention is the about the transfer part. The last page is just more secret files. It's really notable about the transfer, because I didn't read this before I watched the movie, and I probably should have. They do note that it is in the original 1:33:1 aspect ratio. It's been newly remastered in 4K from the original 16mm black and white camera negative with audio elements sourced from the Film Corporation in Tokyo, not even going to try to pronounce that name. This restoration and the 4K scan were carried out by Piccolo Films in Sydney, Australia, under the supervision of New Wave Video. Now, worth noting, because the director himself mentions how it was originally blown up to 35mm to incorporate all the audio stuff, and of course on Blu-ray you don't have to do that, so they were able to use the original 60mm print. It does stipulate that, note, at the 10-minute mark, the film unfortunately contains visible cement splice marks in the negative. These are part of the original negative and cannot be removed. The final transfer was approved by the director. And of course, they even stipulate that you can actually meet the director if you go to Japan. Be sure to visit his legendary TV bar, which is just north of Shinjuku, which unfortunately did not have the time to go when I was in Japan 2 weeks ago, which really sucks. That would have been cool, because John mentioned to me, he's like, you should go to his bar and whatever, but it was too far out the way and we'd already planned other stuff. If maybe we'd had a couple days heads up, I would have been like, oh, maybe on the day that we went to Shinjuku, we could have gone there, which we probably could have done that, but still. Didn't know until like 3 days later, and we were only in Tokyo for another day, so yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to mention that in the video transfer because it's a very noteworthy element, but it's a nice book. It's good. So let's talk about the video and the audio. Now, video-wise, what do we have? We got an MPEG-4, its average bitrate of 30 to 35 megabits per second when there's actually image on screen. There's a lot of times at the start where it will cut to the black screen with the kanji on it, so it's just giving you the opening credits, and that's a very small amount of data per the Blu-ray, but the rest of it's a consistent 30 to 35 megabits, which is really nice. There are subtitles that you can activate separately, but they do automatically play because it is a Japanese film with no English in it, so it automatically plays English subtitles. They are white text on a black background, which is great. It's probably my favorite of the types of subtitles you can get, in second to what SBS had with their yellow subtitles. I miss SBS's yellow subtitles. They were great. But yeah, they're easy to understand and read, which is great. I had no issues with them. I didn't see any technical issues, no flubs, no fuck-ups, nothing. Perfectly done. Huge props to Maiko in that department, because I know she had to translate all of this. John and Maiko I did an interview with from New Wave Video, so I know them now. It's great. I've been really looking forward to these releases coming in. So grain structure-wise, really healthy. There's minor specks and blemishes throughout the film, but they retain this grungy 16mm look, so it doesn't feel too cleaned up. There's no DNR, nothing like that. It feels respectful and healthy, and just as grungy and gritty as you'd want from a cyberpunk Japanese weird sexy horror film like this. Sexy in the worst kind of ways. It's basically torture porn. I would say it is, because it's literally like they're literally torturing people in this movie. It's nuts. But yes, from the 10-minute mark onwards, there are the very obvious deficiencies with it. As they state in the book, there is the cement thing. Basically, if I'm able to show an image, I had this exact same problem with the Criterion Godzilla films. A couple of them had like a white line at the very bottom, and these are 4:3, and these would, every time it would cut to like a new angle or whatever, it would have a white line flash. And this is basically the same. For a lot of the runtime from the 10-minute mark onwards, you get a white line at the base and occasionally a white line at the top and bottom. Sometimes it would vary, maybe the bottom, maybe the top, maybe both. Sometimes you would have cuts and you'd have no issues. It would look fine. Most of the time it was there. If it's like a dark image and it cuts and you got a white bar, it can be very obvious. Sometimes if it's a whiter image, you don't notice it as much. So it depends on how you pay attention to movies if you notice that kind of stuff. I do, which is on me. It didn't disrupt my enjoyment of the film because the film was still really interesting. But it's just worth noting that it's just an unfortunate product of the original film negative, and it's basically, if they wanted to get rid of it, they would have had to stretch out the image and crop off the top and bottom. And the thing is, because it only happens for like half a second each time it cuts, there's so much more image there for the rest of those, takes, for the rest of those shots. And some of them are really long takes as well, that like you kind of need that extra image. So I respect New Wave for leaving it in and for noting down in their book that it has that visual discrepancy. But aside from that, the rest of it looks fantastic. Again, it's a really nice 4K scan. It looks beautiful in its harsh black and white. Again, if you've seen Tattoo of the Iron Man, you know exactly what kind of look and feel this is going for. And it's perfect. It looks fantastic outside of those unfortunate issues with the original 16mm print, which they could not get rid of. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and at least they, accept that that's what it is. This is the image you're going to get. This is the best we can give you without chopping off the image, basically. And it's not right at the very bottom. It's like 0.5 millimeter up as well. Like you'd have to get rid of quite a bit of the image, maybe at least 10% of the image for the whole entire film if you were going to have to deal with that. So, yeah. Audio-wise, what does it actually stipulate? It doesn't actually stipulate on here what the audio is like, which is amusing. Obviously, my info settings had it as LPCM 2.0. It came out as stereo anyway, which was fine. It sounded good. The score and the dialogue were easy to understand. Again, it is obviously in Japanese, so I referred to the subtitles for what they were actually saying. But there's a lot of screaming and noises and sound effects. Most of it, 100% of it is ADR, which is really interesting. Unnoticeably, but it's a very well-designed sound design and soundtrack and score. By watching the interview of the director, it really breaks it down. But no, there was no real issues with the audio. Occasionally there'll be clicks in the right-hand speaker. Obviously, when, again, it would cut to either a new reel or it's basically every time I cut to a new reel, maybe every 15 or so minutes, you'd have more, like, it would match with the two bars on the top and bottom, and then you get a click with the audio. Sometimes it worked in context because the audio was still quite clicky and rough and whatever in the actual film itself, so it didn't disrupt. It's not loud and abrasive or anything, but it's there. But it kind of makes you feel more like you're watching a grungy 16mm print of a film. So, I mean, if that's the kind of experience you're wanting, then it's there. But, yeah, those clicks were definitely still apparent. But again, they weren't annoying. They never drew me out of the experience, unlike the visuals did on the occasion. So I can give it that at least. And the audio was mostly clean. I'd say 95% of it was great, maybe 98% of it, because there weren't as many clicks and whatever. It was mostly either the occasional, oh, this reel of film is done, clicking into a next reel, or just a couple of pops occasionally, but it was usually only in the far right speaker, which is interesting. Nevertheless, audio was good. I think the audio was really nicely done. Now we get into the special features. We have 3 different featurettes plus a theatrical trailer, which I now realize they misspelled theatrical on this. They put an extra E. Oh, oofed. That's alright, it happens. Sometimes you don't always reread what you've written down, but it's a theatrical trailer. It looked fine on the... Oh, sorry, I just hit my mic. It looked fine on the image. I had no issues there, but there is a misspelling of theatrical on the back cover. So anyway, you have new Rubber's vision and interview with Shozin Fukui. Fukui, I believe it's pronounced. He's the director of the film, the writer-director, the fucking lunatic who decided to make this. This is a 27-minute long interview with the director shot on location at his bar, which they promoted at the end of the interview. It goes into how he got into filmmaking, his thought process behind the film. Good selection of questions, all delivered by Maiko, who co-runs New Wave. You could even hear John in the background in some of the times. It's all in Japanese, but has English burnt-in subtitles. It's not my preferred way for subtitles to be, but there was never any time where it was you couldn't read what they were saying. Like the John, who edited it, actually put in like the subtitles for like long sentences as well, so he could be sitting there talking for like a whole minute and every single word of dialogue won't change for like 30 seconds. So you got plenty of time to read it, especially if you're a slow reader. There are occasional images that come in on screen outside of the interview of the director, so you'll have posters or you'll have shots from the movie or you'll have scenes from the movie, but like enlarged to fit the 16:9 ratio, which is fine. Gives some extra context or whatever in whatever they're referring to at the time. But I had no real issues with the subtitles. They faded in, they faded out. I would have preferred them to be more center texted with the black underneath like the actual subtitles were in the film. So John, if you're watching, which I know you will be, just as a heads up for next time, I feel like I like putting in subtitles with the boldness around them. But when I do my own videos, I like that because I don't want like white to contrast with white or whatever, unless you're doing a completely different color, like a bright yellow or something. Again, like SBS. So that would be my recommendation for next time, would be to do that. If you're doing, obviously you're doing a lot of Japanese films, and if you're doing subtitles, to do it like that, formatted just a little bit snazzier. But the amount of text that was on screen I thought was good, so that worked. Because again, there's plenty of the reading. It wasn't quickly cutting through it all, so you had time to digest what he was saying and everything, which worked well. And it was a very interesting interview. Again, the fact that they went to Japan and interviewed with the director is great. I really hate that I couldn't go and meet him. That would have been cool. But again, I'd have no context until I saw this. I would have been like, oh shit, that's the guy I met? Holy crap, this guy's fucking nuts. Anyway, but no, very good interview, very well produced. Then you have Posy Punk Jasper Sharp on Rubber's Lover. This is a 20-minute long interview with Jasper Sharp as he discusses the film and the director. It's all in English because he's an English-speaking person. He's a Japanese film scholar. And he just breaks down the making of the film, its relationship to cinema at the time and whatnot. A lot of what is said in here is also repeated by the director as well. But it works well if you don't want to have to sit through 27 minutes of subtitles. You can just watch this, which is more brief and to the point, but a lot less personable, of course, which is the benefit of interviewing the director directly. And of course, then you have the Technological Oblivion and Transcendence Rubber's Lover video essay by Suzanne Bollian, which is a 24-minute long video essay which breaks down the themes and all the other crazy shit that goes on in this film. So this is the proper, like film scholarly stuff. I mean, Suzanne's known for that. She's done a bunch of video essays. I don't know if she's done audio commentaries, but I've watched a bunch of her video essays before. She's very well researched. They're very nicely put together video essays as well. She's very clearly using footage from this brand new restoration, so that works at least because it's all footage on screen. She doesn't present herself visually. But it's good. It's very well researched, very interesting stuff. So if you want that extra breakdown into, the social political context, the analysis of the film, that's your way to go. And of course, your theatrical trailer and your booklet featuring new essays by Michelle Kisner and Stanley Luck. So, or Luke, I probably should say. But yeah, that's it. That's the 91-minute long release for Rubber's Lover by New Wave Video. A really nice release. Outside of the discrepancies in the video, which at least they note and they tell you about, definitely a great release for it. If you're a fan of this film, I highly recommend this release. It is from their website, New Wave Video. I'll link it down below. I pre-ordered their bundle that came with Strange Circus. You can pre-order. I don't know if the pre-orders are still around well, they won't be pre-orders anymore. But you can maybe order it still with the t-shirt bundle. I believe they had one that was Rubber's Lover on the t-shirt, like my Godzilla print now, but smaller. I don't know if they did one for Australian Circus, but yeah. So there you go. There's Rubber's Lover and Strange Circus, and hopefully I'll be able to dive into that in a later video. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.